Hey guys, it's Gina for another week of Chasing Sunsets. Oh boy. So let's talk about time and how we never have enough of it. Or sometimes we've had too much of it. I'm not sure which. So I've had jobs in the past that they were so busy that I had absolutely no downtime whatsoever. If I took a vacation day, my life was just horrible when I returned because there were so many, like thousands of small little bitty details. None of it would be really hard, but it would be tedious and time consuming, and you had to make sure you did this, and this, and this, and this, and this, and this. And so, like, if you got sick and you were out for 3 days, you really couldn't catch up. It took like 3 weeks to get kind of caught up from being out for a couple of days of not being able to function at your best, even if you went to work sick, because when you're sick you're not performing at 100% capacity. At least I don't. And so if you're at a job or a task that is always, you have to be 100% or 110% constantly, eventually you're going to have days you cannot maintain that capacity. And then what happens? Stuff starts piling up and it just gets into this big old bowl of ugh. And unfortunately, many of us, if you don't have a job that's like that, or seasons of your job that's like that, you've done that at home as well. You have a pile of paper that, with good intentions, you were going to go through that. And it started out only being like these 2 or 3 pieces that were very important that you had to deal with. By the end of the month, it's this pile, and you're like, I don't even remember what's in there. Do you do that? Or is that just a me thing? I remember one time when I was working full time, going to physical school. This is before anything was online. In fact, it was kind of before the internet. There was some internet, but it wasn't like very prevalent like today. And so we actually physically went to college and did the classes and everything. And so by the time I would get home in the evenings, because I was taking like 2 or 3 classes in a semester, and so I was literally gone almost every single evening. I'd leave for work in the morning, go straight from work to school, go to class, then come home, and then just had like about an hour before I needed to crawl into bed and start all over again, or give up sleep because I had to do homework. Weekends were filled with running errands, cleaning house, and doing homework. Most of the time it was just doing the homework because, there wasn't time for anything else. So lunch hours were filled with running errands, or et cetera, et cetera. So my great idea was I was going to get this little basket and set it right inside my door. And when I got the mail at night and I came in, I would just drop it in there. That way it wouldn't be piled up on the table or wouldn't be anywhere. It'd be contained. All that did is at the end of the week, I had this pile of paperwork to go through every week. So I have since learned that I deal with the mail when I bring it in, because it just takes a few seconds. Most of the time I can sort of walk from the mailbox back to the house and kind of flip through and go, oh, this is trash, this is trash, this is trash. And then there might be 2 or 3 things I'm like, I'm not sure what that is, or something I know this is important. And so by the time I get in, I can just go ahead and either shred or tear up the trash. And the things that I'm not sure, open them real quick, look, make a very fast decision, decide, oh yes, I was waiting on that, or oh no, this is just trash. And then I might have 1 or 2 items a week that is actually really important to deal with. But then, if I set them in that pile of 1 to 2 pieces of paper that I'm going to get to later, at the end of the month, like bunnies. So, I don't know if you do that or not. But what happens if life throws you a curveball? And you can't go at that 100% capacity anymore? What do you give up? What do you do? Today, I had that because my toddler has some mosquito bites she got that we thought she only had a couple of them, but evidently she is highly allergic to mosquito bites, just like I am. Yay. And she had like several on a leg, and they showed up later, and they whelp, huge whelps on her. It was horrible. So we were doing all the stuff, putting ice on it, Benadryl cream, hydrocortisone cream. Fortunately, she's of the age where she can use a lot of those external creams. And I was even using some essential oils to kind of try to help if I could, ease any of it. And some of it comforted her because, when you're rubbing it with the essential oil, it just feels good. So she liked that. Plus it was a good smell for her to kind of just, help her relax. But because of her allergic reaction to these mosquito bites, she was running a little bit of a very low grade off and on fever this morning. She just did not sleep well last night. She was itching. She looked like a cricket in bed, just rubbing her legs together constantly. Mm-hmm. And it kept me up, as you can imagine, because I had to keep getting up to get another ice pack for her, or, something, because you can only apply Benadryl and stuff like that only so often, especially on a toddler. You don't want to over apply it. And unfortunately, it doesn't seem to stop it for too long. The itching still happens. So an ice pack is a really great way to kind of help reduce the sting of the itch and everything. And it's a natural remedy that a lot of people use, and it kind of helps because if a mosquito bite gets hot, it tends to just be more active, I guess. I don't know how that works, but she was like a cricket all night long. She did not sleep well. So this morning when she woke up at 6:30, I knew it was not going to be a good day. And she was not feeling well all day long because of it. And I was at work, and even though my mom was here for her all day, she wanted mama because, I'm mama. So I'm the one she comes to. She wanted me to hold her. She needed to lay on the couch next to me. So I was working on the couch with my laptop, and I would, type one-handed holding her, and I was not working at 100% capacity. Granted, that made my day longer in the long run because I still had to get everything done that goes in my day. Fortunately, I'm remoting, so I had a little bit of that flexibility that I could stop for 15 or 20 minutes here and there and just tend to her needs. But what happens when we fill our life to full capacity and something happens, like a sick toddler, or you get sick, or you want to just take a vacation day? Where do those tasks go? And is that how you want your life to be? And so it kind of goes back into simplifying your living, choosing what you want in your life, and deciding ways that work for you. Maybe a basket inside the door and going through your mail once a week would work for you. It didn't work for me. I don't know if I just got way too many catalogs or junk mail or what. Or maybe working your way through the mail as you bring it in works for you because you're spending just 15 seconds at that moment doing it versus 2 hours later on a weekend. But you can find ways that work for you to organize your day, organize your task. Obviously, you can get rid of as much mail as possible by like not signing up for junk mail, getting as much stuff electronic anymore. But there's just some things you still get in the mail. Car registrations, at least in Texas we do. Certain bills that they just, even if I'm signed up electronically, they still decide they have to send me a paper one. I'm like, I don't want that paper. But, because of electronics and internet and everything like that, we have been able to reduce our paper clutter to a point. But I would bet that if questioned, you have more paper clutter than you want to deal with. I know I do. I literally just multiplies. It's constant. I'm like, how did we get a pile of paper here again? So it's a constant struggle. And it's a constant battle, and I have to constantly stay on top of it. But then what happens if I have a sick toddler that day? Because do I choose to spend my 5 minutes doing that constant task, or spend that extra 5 minutes with my toddler. Guess what? My toddler is going to win on that one because she needs the extra attention. And yeah, that means tomorrow I spend 10 minutes on that task or into whatever. But think about the task that you have. And if your life were to throw you a curveball, whether good, bad, or not, my toddler's fine. The bites are healing. They're not as itchy. She is doing better. She was up and running and playing this afternoon. I mean, she's fine. And I knew she would be. I've witnessed this with me so many times, allergic reaction to mosquito bites, especially in Texas. Those things are, I think they're the state bird or something. I mean, they're huge and they leave whelps. And so, but you know, it was a curveball. It was not how I expected my day to go. I had other things I needed to get done through work. I still got them done, but I ended up working longer than I really wanted to through the, late afternoon, evening. And because of that, it kind of left me in a discombobulated mind state. And then I was like, okay, what else did I forget to do? Because I still had to do laundry and I still had to do all this other stuff. And so I just challenge you to just take a few minutes and just take an inventory of those tasks that are all the time. Now, I mean, obviously we have to work, so you can't just get rid of work. But if you do have a job that you're having to run full capacity 100% of the time, I really suggest sitting down with your manager and figuring out a better way, because nobody can sustain that for a long period of time without getting through burnout. That's my personal opinion, because I'm not telling you to go quit your job or anything, but a lot of times managers may not be aware of how the tasks have piled up on somebody. And then they're like, once they stop and go, oh yeah, it has. Oh yeah, it has. So communicate. Communication is king when it comes to this kind of stuff. But if you're in a position that there's no way that that's going to ever get fixed, it might be time to move on to another position. I mean, we are referring to 2021 as the Great Resignation. I've also heard it as the Great Shakeup. A lot of people are changing jobs into bigger and better positions. And you can, set yourself up for you and your family to have your life be intentional the way you need it to be. And I challenge you to just stop for a few minutes, take inventory of all your daily tasks, whether they be at home, at work, or whatever. See what you can simplify. See what you can automate. See how you can change a small, tiny habit and actually make it where you don't have this big task land on you. Procrastination is a killer for this kind of stuff. And even if it's a simple procrastination like dropping your mail in a basket when you come in because you know you're getting in at 10 o'clock, you need to get to bed so you can get up at 5 o'clock and go to work the next day. I get it. I do. I've been there. I've done that. I do it. I mean, it's just the way it is. But making that small tweak of just going through it real quick right then saved me hours later. And I would rather give up a minute now to save 3 hours somewhere else. For me, that's how I work. So you might be opposite. You might not do well with giving up a minute here and a minute there because of the way you function and focus and do your task. I'm a quick minute. Let's get it done. Let's get it done. Let's get it done. Let's get it done. And then I'm like, okay, I'm done. But not everyone's like that. So you have to find what works for you. And there's not a right or wrong way. But the only way you'll know what's right for you is if you evaluate the situation. So I challenge you to do that and see where you can simplify your life some. What tasks are you doing that aren't necessary, are redundant, are causing you more stress, or causing you more work? Work smarter, not harder. Because sometimes you're going to get a curveball. Maybe your toddler is going to be not feeling well that morning. Maybe, I don't know. Life happens, right? Not wishing anything bad on anybody because we have enough of life happening to us that we don't need anything else. And sometimes it's good things. Somebody came in from out of town that you haven't seen for like a couple of years. It's that crazy aunt that, you're like, You are still alive. We hadn't heard from you. Oh, you've been, hiking up whatever. Okay. And she just pops in. And you just kind of have to stop because she's only going to be there for a couple hours anyway to visit with you. And you're not going to be like, well, sorry, I got to do laundry, I got to do this. You're going to stop. You're going to stop and take time, right? So sometimes it's not bad things that throw us the curveballs. Sometimes it's good things that throw us the curveballs too. But are you giving yourself time in your day to deal with those things? Because my guess is no. And I challenge you to try to re-engineer it and make it happen so you can chase your sunset. Have an amazing week. I'll see you next week chasing your sunset. Bye.